For those of you who don't know me, which is probably 90% of you in this room, my name's Andy Penn. I'm the Vice Provost for Education, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you here today as we honor the 2010 recipients of Penn's Graduate Teaching Awards. And the Provost and the President send their congratulations to all that couldn't make it today. So before I recognize the winners, I'd like to relate a brief story that I think might have a little bit of relevance today. It's an old story, evidently, about Euclid. And Euclid was once employed as a tutor. That's old-fashioned language for PA. As a tutor of mathematics in the royal household of King Ptolemy I. Well, apparently the king repeatedly complained about the difficulty of the theorems which Euclid expected him to learn. And I'm sure that probably sounds familiar to some of you sitting up here in the front row. But one day when the king asked, is there an easier way to do this, Euclid answered with a very famous but gentle reproach. He said, "Sire," he said, "there is no royal road to geometry." Indeed, there is no shortcut, right? You actually have to do the work. And I think there's no shortcut in being a student, and there's no shortcut in being a TA, let's face it, or a tutor. Nevertheless, it is a noble calling and a critically important one. And all of you here today are here because of you have demonstrated time and again to your students in particular your dedication to teaching, and from that your commitment to not only your students but to the university and the academy as a whole. Now, Euclid's method consisted of assuming a small set of appealing axioms and then deducing many other theorems from them. Similarly, it's axiomatic that learning is an evolutionary process. From that, we know that teaching too is evolutionary, and we can intuit that the best teachers transmit to the students and absorb knowledge from the students. This is how it really works. And all of you recognize this relationship, and as teachers, naturally, you've shared your scholarship. You've also shared in your students' successes and other failures, perhaps, their highs and lows. And they recognize this. They recognize this. And they still nominate you and praise you. And I think that's critical. More than that, you've learned to think about your own subjects in new ways, and think in new ways about how to get other people to think about that subject. And this is just wonderful. So whether helping a sophomore decide on a poli-sci major, making philosophy come alive, or soothing the worried conscience of a finance student, you've helped your students engage with their subjects on a level that perhaps they never thought they could. That's beautiful. That's good stuff. These are high marks for great teachers, and that's what you are. So we know you're all great. How do we know that? Because the students nominated you and they wrote about you. And being Penn students, of course, they had a couple of words to say. And so here's a few selected quotes from all of these. Quote, I won't identify well, you might figure it out, but it doesn't matter. He was and still is so involved in our project that you would think it was his. Interesting. Well, the fact is, that's good. And that's learning and teaching. Okay, one student made this comment about his TA. I learned a tremendous amount from her. Perhaps most important is that some teaching assistants are real assets to the professors lucky enough to have them. And as a professor, I can tell you how lucky I've been to have many such TAs. Another used these words. I was nervous about taking a more science-type intro course. Guess we know who that is. However, as soon as I walked into my first recitation, I knew I'd have a chance of surviving, and in fact, maybe even doing really well. Sometimes he even brought in a guest speaker just for one recitation, just to make one really good point. Now that sounds like a recitation I might like to have attended. One freshman added about his TA, he's clear, explains stuff very simply and very approachable. I had lunch with him one day. Super nice, funny, and totally deserves This kid was really lobbying for you, whoever that was. So, and here's what another freshman had to say about her writing seminar, TA. What can I say about this class? It was a joyous roller coaster ride. You know, I like a roller coaster. That's a good thing, because that means that student had some downs, and then some ups, and then some more downs, and then some more ups. And I think you're really learning when that's happening. You're also holding on tight, it turns out. So one poli-sci TA, a student had the following to say: through talking with him about summer opportunities for work, he gave me the advice and confidence in how to approach the issue of internships. Finally, he encouraged me to talk with my professor of the class, which led me to being offered an internship for the summer. Beautiful stuff. Finally, let me close with this very brief comment from one student. He was better than the professor. The professor shall remain nameless, as shall the student, for his or her own protection. Now, finally, without further ado, I'm going to read the names of the winners of the 2010 Penn Prize for Excellence in Teaching by Graduate Students. And as I read your name, please come up to the podium, and Anita will provide you.
The certificate.
Oh, and then I'll do a handshake, and then we'll all gather for some pictures after that. How's that sound? So, Benjamin Gosman. Jacob Goldberg, chemistry. Joseph Kiter, computer and information science. We got 2 computer science in there. Erika Kitzmiller, history. Noam Osman. Miranda Ruth, history of art. Christopher Taylor, English. As a recitation joint. Maybe not. Eric Traeger, political science. And finally, Ruth Erickson, history of art, and I think she's teaching science right now. We're doing a review section. Who did I skip? Emil Picton, statistics, and we'll have Okay, well, congratulations to everybody. I want the winners to join me for a photo that will be taken. The rest of you, chow down, there's good wine.